We should be live. Are we live? We should be live. Hello, beautiful people. I'm Bonnie Gillespie, and we're going to talk about Uranus and Gemini. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm so excited to have this time with y'all today. Let me see who has already said hello. Looks like hubby Keith has said hello. Hi, hubby. It looks like Jackie has said hello and has extra tacos if we want. I definitely want. Cinnamon incense cone and white tea light candle lit. Perfect. Big ups to all of that, says Vio, and Carla says hello from Victoria, British Columbia on this warm, muggy, sunshiny day. Well, y'all, thank you so much for joining me for this little conversation. We are going to talk about Uranus moving into Gemini, which is something that happened yesterday for the first time in 84 years. I am bringing my plate with me. My cousin bought me plates of the planets, planet plates, and this one is Uranus. So I decided I would just put that right there for me. Hey, have you hugged yourself today? Even if you haven't, even if you have, do it again, because it feels good. I'm wearing my purple shirt today, even though it is not Jupiter's day, because Jupiter is in Cancer, and I am living for how good that feels. So I am staying reminded of all the expansion and growth and amazingness that is all of that. Let's see here. Let me come back on here for a little bit. Hi. I was over in the corner. I had already begun screen sharing, and I don't know that I needed to just yet. But anyway, hello. I am so glad you're here. Thank you very much for joining me. Let's see. Planet plates are a thing. Kelly, yes. The box actually says planet plates. Every snack can be out of this world. I know, my cousin's adorable. Hi, Holly. It's so good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so you saw I was sharing my screen before. I'm going to share it again. I'm going to be sharing it for a little while. We are going to be talking about some very cool stuff. Let me look at here's the woo of the now. Let me go over to this one again here real quick. The woo of the now shows you that we have Uranus at 0 degrees Gemini. 0 degrees, 3 minutes to be exact. Uranus just moved into Gemini yesterday. And we're going to get a preview of what Uranus in Gemini is going to be all about for us. And that'll make a little more sense as I share my slides. So let's just jump in. Let's just dig right into it. As y'all saw from the share I was doing right up at the top, Uranus was discovered in 1781. And it was the first planet discovered with technology, meaning before 1781, all the planets that existed were planets that could be seen with the naked eye and observed through something basic in terms of telescope type action. And this is why early astrology uses the 7 traditional planets and luminaries only, because for many years of astrology, there were only 7 planets. And so the traditional 7 are what we stick to when we're using traditional astrology for exactly that reason. I'm going to take a moment real quick and let you say hello to Mala, because it's always good luck when we get a Mala sighting. Hello, sweet boy. Hello. Yes, you're very sweet. You're very sweet. He's a Gemini, so talking about Uranus and Gemini, of course, he would come by and say hello. When the technology existed for us to see beyond Saturn, the first thing that was observed was Uranus. And that's when this whole idea of outers came into play. And quickly after Uranus was discovered, after forever and ever thinking nothing was beyond Saturn, and Saturn was the end of our universe, there was Uranus, and then Neptune, and then Pluto. And then they realized, oh, there's a shit ton more stuff. So more recently, let's just demote Pluto, because there's so many things that we should consider a planet if we're really doing that. And Pluto, of course, is like, I'll show you. Don't you demote me. But this conversation is about Uranus. Uranus. So only very recently have we gotten some of the clearest images ever of Uranus. And of course, they're gorgeous. They're just absolutely gorgeous. One of the things that is a big topic with Uranus is the chaos and disruption and potential for war. I've seen a lot of astrologers talking about the patterns, and I've been one of the astrologers talking about the patterns, the years that Uranus has been in Gemini, and it can feel a little activating. And so I wanted to bring over an image from today at transitviewer.net. This is what's going on in the woo weather for the couple of months that are pictured here. This is from mid-June to mid-August, and we're coming up on mid-July at the midpoint here of this graphic. And I show you this not to overwhelm you, but to remind you as we go into this conversation about Uranus and Gemini, there is always a shit ton of woo weather going on. And not everything that happens is that big a deal. Not everything that happens is even felt or noticed. Not everything that happens creates what it potentially could create. It's only that it creates the potential. It creates the opportunity. It lays the groundwork for things to go a certain kind of way. But will they go a certain kind of way? Don't know. And it doesn't really matter because we know the conditions are ripe for it, and everything is up to our free will, how we act and how we behave within the conditions that are ripe for us to behave certain kind of ways because of the transits and so forth. So this is just my reminder that there's a lot going on always. Please do not get overly precious about this particular ingress. That said, Uranus entering Gemini is a really big deal. First of all, Uranus was discovered while in Gemini. Like, of course, that moment of discovery of this new planet happened while Uranus was in Gemini. And that doesn't mean Uranus starts its life in Gemini. No, it's just that's when we noticed it doing its thing. But I want to give you, without terrifying you, these dates so that you can get a sense of why Uranus in Gemini is such a big deal. And I would love it for those of you who are history type folks, if you would share anything I've left out of any of these little blocks, because I went with the stuff that's at top of mind for me. So June 1774 to April of 1782, I'm like, okay, that's the American Revolution. It's the First Continental Congress. It's the Declaration of Independence. There's some pretty big deal stuff going on there, at least from my very, American-based, United States-based perspective, when the things that they made me study in school about history. Those are my tops there. But of course, there were bajillion D things going on. I actually went at one point and asked Google, because Google is now using AI so much that you don't even have to go into like ChatGPT. You can just type something into Google and the top thing is going to be a ChatGPT-like answer because it is aggregating from other sites instead of sending you to the sites to get the information. Don't get me started on that. I actually have a whole video about that in case that's happening in your life. I have a way to work around that if that's happening, but I digress. The hits of all of the stuff that are seen as big deals based on these years, I was just like, wow, I see the pattern, I see the pattern, I see the pattern. I really do. June of 1858 to March of 1866 was the time after that Uranus was in Gemini. So I'm starting with the time Uranus was in Gemini and discovered, when Uranus first was discovered. And then the next cycle, 84 years later, in the mid 1800s, we have the United States Civil War. We have Charles Darwin's Origin of the Species published, and that's a really big deal. And it was the abolition of slavery. Abolition of slavery declared. Okay, I was like, did I say? I'm reading my. I should not read and talk at the same time. Just kidding. To know that, of course, we can look at history and say the ripple effects of the abolishment of slavery took a lot longer, especially in certain places. It was during this little window of time that we saw all of that start to break up. And remember that Uranus is a planet of rebellion and disruption and shaking things up. For sure, I see that. And then August of 1941 to June of 1949 being the most recent time, 84 years ago, when Uranus was in Gemini. And with that, we get the United States entering World War II. It was already going on, but then the bombing at Pearl Harbor brought us right in for real legit. The Holocaust, obviously. The United Nations and NATO were established. And at the end of World War II, the superpowers that existed created what was, for many, many years, the Cold War. And now we go July 2025 to May of 2033. What will these years be about when it comes to Uranus in Gemini? I wonder. Let's take a look at the chat and see what kinds of things y'all have to say about all of this. Okay. Hello, is your birthday this week? Donna, my birthday is the 11th. So yes, my birthday is this week. My birthday is Friday. I celebrate my birthday the entire month of July, but / my birthday is Friday the 11th. Yes, thank you very much. Yes, okay, great. Gemini boy, everybody loving seeing Mala. Hello, Danielle, good to see you. Thank you for saying hello to sweet Mala. Y'all so sweet. Uranus is on my moon right now, Danielle. That's not subtle. That is not subtle. It's in my 5th house right now. Really, Chiron. Oh, yeah. Yep. That'll do it. The way to do it. The way to do it. Right on. Happy early birthday. Hugs to you. Oh, thank you, Carla. Thank you. No, I do. I like July 1st, I wake up and Keith says, hi, good morning. And I go, it's my birthday. And I say that every day as I get up, every day until we're done with July, because that's just the way it is. We celebrate my birthday the entire month of July. Yay for summer babies, because of course we always felt like we didn't get celebrated at school. That's all right. We go get celebrated all the dang time we want, all summer long. Carla says, in my 12th house, all by its lonesome. Okay. All right. Cool. So looking at these patterns, you might be feeling like, I'm not so sure. I really am nervous about what's ahead for us. And I get that. But I would like to remind us that this Uranus in Gemini period that we just entered yesterday, July 7th, 2025, this Uranus in Gemini period that we just entered is a preview. And here's why. And these are the important dates. You might want to take a screen grab of this one. These are the important dates for how things are going to go right now, because we're in a preview of Uranus in Gemini, July 7th to September 5th, 2025. So that's just 2 months that we've already started ticking with that. What you want to do is really pay attention to how is Uranus showing up in the Gemini house of your chart. And keep in mind, Uranus will only get to 1 degree 27 minutes Gemini before stationing retrograde on September 5th. So then the next set here, September 5th to November 7th, so 2 more months, Uranus is moving out of Gemini, but retrograde. So still in Gemini, but now going back over those degrees, or that 1.5 degrees that we were going through as we did the way in starting yesterday. Okay, so we're going to get a preview going in to Gemini yesterday through September 5th. And then from then to November 7th, we're getting a retrograde visit to all of that. And this is where you want to start to pay attention to how your inner quest for freedom gets clearer, louder, even unignorable at this point, where you want to disrupt, where you want to, the thing I always joke about with Uranus is the housewife that comes into the dinner party and starts flipping tables. Uranus's job is to shake things up And so especially during the retrograde period, start noticing where in your Gemini house you start feeling, yeah, I can feel myself wanting to break free. I can feel that disruption trying to show up. And then because retrograde takes it back into Taurus, we've got these dates to pay attention to: December 7th to February 3rd. So that's November 7th of 2025 to February 3rd, 2026. We are now still retrograde, Uranus going back into Taurus. And this is going to be taking care of the last bit of business that still exists in Taurus. And this will go as far as 27 degrees, 27 minutes Taurus before stationing direct. So really think about, with this revisiting to Taurus, what started getting shaken up in 2018, specifically mid 2018, because that's when Uranus moved into Taurus. Uranus moved into Taurus for a preview May of 2018, retrograded back out, came back in early 2019, and then has been there until July 7th of 2025. And now we're doing the preview of Gemini and then back out and into Taurus to finish things up, and then stationing direct on February 3rd, 2026, and finishing all the business that needs to be done in late degree Taurus. And it'll be the kinds of things that we've been witnessing lately in late degrees Taurus, Uranus in late degrees Taurus, doing a lot of things with weather, doing a lot of things with features of the planet, such as volcanoes and fault lines that were dormant starting to show themselves. We'll get another little dose of all of that as we are into this retrograde period into Taurus, and then going direct back out of Taurus and finally into Gemini to stay as of April 25th, 2026. That is when Uranus will be in Gemini through May 22nd, 2033. Except for we'll do a preview of Uranus in Cancer from August 3rd, 2032 to December 11th, 2032, but we'll talk about that as we get closer to that time. Okay, so with all that in mind, let's have a little bit of a discussion about what it is that this, oh my gosh, look at these moons, that this gorgeous Uranus goodness. I love that all these images came through as we got the James Webb Space Telescope online. Oh my God, look at that. So this is Uranus and all their moons, and then here they are closer in, and here are just the closer in moons showing up. Oh, and I love the names too. Oh my gosh, we've got Puck, we've got Juliet, we've got Portia, we've got Bianca, we've got Miranda, Cressida, Ariel. Oh my gosh, Oberon, Titania. Just so beautiful, wonderful. Just take a moment to respect all of that and enjoy how beautiful that is. I want to do, though, some Uranus and Gemini reframes. So what I did here was I tossed up some words that are usually used around Uranus and then usually used around Gemini that may or may not be the best words we could come up with. So we've got Uranus is considered the planet of disruption, yes. The planet of rebellion, true. The planet of activism, and I'd say of advocacy in general, yeah. The planet of chaos, definitely. If you like things to always be the same, Uranus is not the planet for you. The planet of innovation, yes, absolutely. Uranus is going to show you a new way to do something. Uranus is going to make tech move a lot faster in whatever sign it's in. It is going to get a lot of things built and created and developed at hyperspeed. That is definitely some of what Uranus does. But the word that doesn't usually get associated with Uranus, that is my number one go-to, is freedom. Uranus is seeking freedom. If we go back to those events that were happening when Uranus entered Gemini and when Uranus was in Gemini for the past few generations, the past few cycles, we're able to see there's a quest for freedom as the refrain. There is a quest for autonomy, there is a quest for sovereignty, and any fighting that is going on is a fight to get to that freedom that is so wanted. And so consider, as you are describing Uranus to yourself, you consider making sure that the word freedom gets in there, freedom seeking. I always say that Uranus comes in and says, where am I not free? And then breaks everything that could possibly be keeping me from not feeling free. And that can seem a little threatening if we like our things not to be broken. But everyone who has experienced a Uranus transit in a really significant way has been able to point to me where things broke to be better after. So let's be open to that being the case and not quite so scared of all the things that are really easy to blog about and tweet about and whatever else about. TikTok about. Now, the words for Gemini. I've got curious, definitely. Gemini is the most curious sign. I've got superficial because people believe, people, not me, people, used to be me, people, like to see Gemini as not really connecting with you if they don't believe you reach the level of intelligence that they require. They are a very brainy sign, and that means that they can come across as a little standoffish or better than, and that's where that superficial label comes from. Clever for days. So clever, so bright. Fickle, this is the people will call Gemini two-faced, because the joke is, I have a Gemini brother. I never know which version of him I'm going to get because Gemini. And you really do have that angel devil shoulder thing with Gemini. But that fickleness is only because they always want to know, what else are my options? What else is out there? What else might I choose? And so especially when we are looking at something like Uranus coming through and saying, where am I not free? Gemini's going to go, I think I'm not free here. And then Gemini's going to go, oh, wait, I think maybe I'm not free here. Oh, wait, hang on. I think I may be not free here. And it's a big part of why Uranus becomes so extra in Gemini, because Gemini is giving Uranus endless targets to pay attention to when it comes to seeking freedom. And then, of course, Gemini is endlessly witty, so we know that this visit of Uranus to Gemini is going to have a great sense of humor. It just might not feel funny all the time. Yeah, because what is it that makes humor? It's pain plus distance that equals humor. And that pain can be all sorts of kinds of pain, and the distance can be time, or it can be it happened to somebody else, not me, or it can be I've grown and now that was past me. It did happen to me, but because of this time that has passed or this healing that I've done, I can see the humor in it. I want to encourage, if you are over the age of 42, I want you to consider your Uranus opposition. This would have been when Uranus was opposite the sign it was in at your birth. So for anyone who has their natal Uranus in Scorpio, feel free to tell me in the chat, in Scorpio, in Libra, in Virgo, in Leo, anyone who has their Uranus in one of those, or farther back, Cancer, of course, please consider that you have now had your Uranus opposition, and having gone through your Uranus opposition, you can actually clock a lot of how Uranus feels in your chart. And the Uranus opposition is a time when we are confronted, it usually happens around age 42, we're confronted with the question of, where am I not free? And oh my God, did I create this prison for myself? It's when the midlife crises begin. It's that moment of, I didn't realize I was stuck until Uranus came in and broke my marriage, my job, my body, whatever it is. There's something that usually happens during that Uranus opposition that allows us to later look back on it and go, yeah, that was pretty cool. That was neat. I got into some good trouble. I like how I was made to feel free. During it, not so much. But if you're not yet 42, because my analytics show me that I do have quite a few of you here who are not yet 42, you want to take a look at when Uranus was in an opening square for you. And so, as I've indicated on the slide over here, if you're not yet 42, use your opening Uranus square to help you understand Uranus and how it operates in your chart. So for you, it's going to be around age 21, because Uranus would have been at a square to where they were at the time you were born, around age 21. And so are you going to have felt not an opposition, which is really extreme, but a square, which is pressure between how you were born to believe and brought up to believe freedom looked, and the way it actually feels, and decisions that you want to make about yourself and your life at age 21. So I'll be curious to check in with y'all in the chat to find out how that goes for you. So I'm going to say my favorite words for Uranus are freedom, innovation, disruption, and I'm going to say good trouble. Good trouble. Good trouble. Yeah. And then for Gemini, I'm going to say my favorite words are definitely curious, definitely witty, and definitely clever. Those are going to be my favorite Gemini words. And a Gemini phrase I love is, okay, but what else? Okay, but what else? When I'm walking mala beads, because he's Gemini, big Gemini energy on the walk. It's like, I want to smell this. No, wait, I need to go smell that. Oh, wait, I'm going to go smell this. Oh, wait, I need to smell that. And we got to check every leaf and every blade of grass and definitely every tree trunk, because I don't want to miss something. There could be something else that I'm supposed to get when I check all of this out. So tell me, have you had your Uranus opposition? Have you had your Uranus, not return? Oh yeah, I mean, if you've had your Uranus return, tell me. If you were born with your Uranus in Taurus or Gemini, and you're rocking it with us on this live stream, I want to know. You're 84 when you get your Uranus return, because that's how many years it takes for Uranus to do a lap. Which is why, of course, we can look at these historical implications and know, wow, that did not happen that long ago, because we actually know people who lived through World War II. We know people who survived the Holocaust. We know people who very much had this as a part of their world. And it has a lot to do with who they are, how they went through any part of that. And that is, if you are 84, you've done your Uranus opposition, or you've done your Uranus return by now. And I'm really excited to know how it feels to you for that to come all the way around. But definitely let me know if you've had your Uranus opposition at 42, if you've had your opening Uranus square at 21. Note that those ages are not always exact, because it depends on the math of the planets. We're using human time, like how many years old you are, to determine something that is actually designated by the mathematical degree depiction of the planet from the place that it was when you were born. But you know how we do. You know how we do. Okay, let's see. Oh, look at all the happy early birthday. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I like to say this is a glimpse, just like the movie with Nicolas Cage, The Family Man. Okay, I like it. I was saying a preview, but I like the glimpse. That's good. 2018 was a long time ago in my brain, says Carla. All right, believe me, I get it. Like, aren't we like still in the 1000th day of 2000 at this point? Well, and actually, we probably are. We're probably a couple thousand by now. Lordy, lordy, lordy. Excellent. How does the opposing house work with transits? Should that be considered too? Meganic, more information. Tell me what you're asking. If you're asking about your Uranus opposition, let me know. Okay, I have a Gemini 10th house, says creating space with Jen. Ooh, honey. All right. Okay, we're going to talk about the houses in a sec. Yes, mine's in Virgo at the 29th degree. Do you remember your Uranus opposition while Uranus was in Pisces? Jen says Uranus in Scorpio. So you just had your Uranus opposition while Uranus has been in Taurus. Okay. Another Uranus in Virgo. So you had your opposition when Uranus was in Pisces. Excellent. Natal Uranus is retrograde in Virgo, third house with Pluto retrograde. Ooh, what a pair, Carla. What a pair. That's powerful. That's powerful. Meg says, I'm in my Uranus opposition right now. Uranus in Scorpio, 29 degrees. Okay, so when Uranus retrogrades back into Taurus, you're going to get another 2 hits of your Uranus opposition. So Meganic, I'm going to use you as an example on this because you are in late degrees, 29 degrees, the critical degree of Taurus. What's going to happen is, of Scorpio. What's going to happen? Wait, Scorpio, Taurus, are those the opposites? Yes. Okay. I'm like totally forgetting my astrology now. I haven't slept. I've got that full moon head. I don't know if y'all do that when it's full moon time and coming up on full moon. I just am like, I can't sleep. Sorry. So I'm just like double checking myself with everything that comes out of my mouth. So you've got that Taurus visit of Uranus. You've already gotten one hit. And what I like to say when we do the 3 hits, which happens due to retrograde, we're getting that first hit when Uranus was at 29 degrees Taurus, and that's the one that says inciting incident. Here's where you're going to learn what your Uranus opposition is all about. This is where the story begins. There's going to be a lot of exposition. There's going to be a lot of introducing the characters, and then when we retrograde, we get Act 2. So when Uranus moves back into Taurus later this year and starts in on 29 degrees 59 minutes, you are going to be experiencing your second hit. And that second hit while retrograde is going to be the big dramatic crescendo of the story. If we're doing 3-act structure, which we are, that second act, that big drama moment, that everything's exploding or everything is chaos in the case of Uranus, like it looks like, oh, everything is lost. How are we ever going to survive this? And then we soon thereafter get the third and final act, because that retrograde turns direct. We get Uranus coming back across that same degree again. So this will be the third hit of your Uranus opposition. And when that happens, you will get a nice little bow tied on it. You will be complete with your Uranus opposition, and you will have the experience of saying, oh, hero triumphs, and they all lived happily ever after, and whew, I survived the damn thing. And you may not know for a few years how best to describe your Uranus opposition. I don't think I had great words to describe my Uranus opposition until probably about 5 years after it was over, because I thought it was my marriage trying to explode. I really thought, I was like, we're done. But now that I look back at it, I'm like, no, I think the Uranus opposition was my falling in love with my body and starting pole and doing things for myself and taking over some of that energy that I was giving away in my relationships, and taking it on for myself, and then also being better in my relationships. And of course, Uranus in my chart is in the first house, and across the way for my opposition, 7th house, Aries. So 7th house matters, relationship, and Aries, I can do it my damn self. So you may find similar patterns to yours as well. Excellent. Okay. All right. Excellent. Excellent. Oh, these 29 degrees, y'all. I love it. Oh my gosh. So good. My Uranus is in late Capricorn. So Holly, when Uranus makes their way over to Cancer, you are going to have your Uranus opposition. And since you are younger than 42 and have not had your opposition, you would look at when Uranus was in Aries for your square. That should have put you around age 21. So let's look. When was Uranus in Aries? Oh, no, that's not supposed to be there. Come back. Oh, come back to now. I had it on the wrong select. Okay, here we go. There we go. We are going to Aries. And that would have been 2010, 2011 to 2018, 2019. So how does that fare for you? 2010, 2011 to 2018, 2019 would have been when Uranus was in Aries and making a square to your Capricorn, your late Capricorn. So it's going to be more toward the 2017, 2018 side of things, depending on how late in the sign. Danielle says, I'm 36, so not really far off. Sounds like something to look forward to, though. Yay. Yeah, okay, so Danielle, the thing that's happening at 36 is your nodal return. 36, 37, 38, your nodal return. Ooh, that's a good one. That is such a good one. I keep saying it, but I mean it, so I'm gonna keep saying it. I am creating an offer called So You're Turning ... And I have the list of everyone who's in my Live Your Chart membership as my guinea pigs, my beautiful, lovely, wonderful volunteers for me to create these documents. And these reports are going to be things that you will be able to download, buy and download from my website eventually. But so you're turning ... because especially with things like I'm 36, so I'm turning 37. I'm like, I got you. I know the thing you're asking about. I know the thing that's happening in your life. It is most likely your nodal return. Let's talk about what that feels like and why it feels a certain kind of way. Same thing. So you're turning 42. Let me talk to you about your Uranus opposition, all that. Had mine around 2011 and 2012. Had just gotten in at Smith College as a 41-year-old going to college for the first time. Kelly, that's a biggie. So here's the big thing you can use for your Uranus opposition is you can always measure a before and after. And I actually used to literally sit in pole class when new girls would come in and we would all introduce ourselves. And I would say, I will forever measure my life in before pole and since pole. And I didn't even realize at the time that I was already using language that is about the Uranus opposition, because you can always see the line from who was I before and who was I after that Uranus opposition. It's powerful. Holly says, I'm 36. Also, my husband's 42 as of April. Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. So y'all are both going through some big transits. Yes. Bio says, I remember the issues of 2018, at least my personal issues. Yes. So this is where it's important to note that we treat Uranus like an outer because it was discovered after traditional astrology had already been established and in use for a long, long time. But, /and, the reality of it is it moves a lot faster than the others that we measure as outers. So here's what I mean. Pluto takes like 250 years to make it all the way around. So to go through all the signs of the zodiac, it takes 250 years. So with Pluto, we don't measure it in people's lives all that much. We talk about it generationally. We talk about it being a part of the changes and the revolutions in dynasties or religions or empires and so forth. Then coming closer in, we've got Neptune. Neptune takes 165 years to go all the way around. And so similarly, we use conversations about long eras, a little bit redundant, long eras, but we use eras as the way to describe that Neptune experience. But Uranus, I guess when Uranus was discovered, people weren't living to 84. So it would have been considered something that is more generational because we never lived to see what it does in our own lives. And now we got people living to be 100 all the time. And they're saying people who are born now are going to live past 120. I want to know what this means for me. Am I going to make it to 100 like guaranteed? I know there's no guarantee about anything. I could get hit by a bus the next time I leave the house. But the whole idea of living lives that go so far beyond what we ever were living when these planets were discovered, it really begs the question, do we start measuring the impact of these planets on ourselves as well as on the generations? And so Uranus used to only be looked at generationally, and it moves pretty fast, actually, compared to Neptune, 165 years, and Pluto, 250 years. It moves every 84 years through all the signs, 7-8 years per sign. And so we can actually track it pretty easily. So I like that we're talking about the personal issues. And of course, whatever house is where you have Gemini would be where you're noticing that impact from Uranus, whether it's a square or an opposition, or you've not had either of those yet, and you're just kicking it, looking forward to learning what Uranus is going to be like in your life. Okay. My Uranus is at 29 degrees Sagittarius, so you will be getting your opposition, Danielle, during this Gemini Uranus experience, but toward the end, because you're at all these 29 degrees, y'all. I love it. I love how many people with 29 degree planets I have in my life, because it's not a small number. It's a lot. And that's considered the critical degree. And I really love how many big personalities and how much strong energy I seem to attract. I really love that. It feels like an awesome bit of responsibility on my part. And I hope I am continuing to give y'all what you need to go out there and be amazing. Holly says, lost everything and by 2018 had bought another house and ended up with more, but confusing. Yeah, stressful. I understood. Okay, yeah. Oh, because your natal Uranus is close to your Capricorn moon along with Saturn and Neptune. Yeah, that's really hard, Holly. The reason I say that's really hard, moon already doesn't enjoy being in Capricorn all that much, because the moon says rest, restore, relax, and Capricorn says work, 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 work. Capricorn's been weaponized that way culturally. So already Capricorn moon, not quite so happy, not quite at ease or feeling comfortable there. And then you stack on top of that your Saturn, which Saturn and moon together, I know Kelly can tell us about that as well. Oh, ooh, that Saturn moon. No, it's not. Saturn's not on your moon. Saturn's in your first house on your rising. Never mind. The Saturn moon combination is one of both. Saturn can help the moon feel safe, and Saturn can feel very cold and disconnected, and the moon doesn't like that. The moon wants nurturing, but already it's a Capricorn moon, so it's not a very nurturing moon. And then we put Saturn there too, Saturn in domicile. That's a lot. And then on top of it, we put your Uranus and Neptune. Yeah, Holly, that is quite the cluster of planets, and definitely would be a big part of how you are described as a person. That you bring a lot of that energy of stoic and detached, but that energy that you do feel has to go somewhere. And so, yeah, I would be interested to see. Of course, I'm picking a tiny slice of your chart and talking about it based on the conversation we're having here, but I'm sure looking at your entire chart, we would be able to see even more of what your story is. Okay, let's see. Any final questions about Uranus in Gemini? And as I'm asking for final questions, please share in the chat. And those of you watching in replay, share in the comments. What words will you use for Uranus in Gemini so that you can remind yourself to stay in a freedom-seeking, curious space rather than feeling overwhelmed or fearful about all the things that you don't control, about the disruptions that Uranus is here to create? Let me know in the chat. I would love to hear. Oh, thanks, Meganic. I appreciate it. I know, Megan Ick, Meganic. Nope, you're gonna have to, is it Meganic, like a mechanic? I'm calling you Meg, and then I'm calling you Megan, and then I'm calling you Meganic. Clever and witty. Yep. Authentic communication. Love, 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 love. Fabulous. Justice for Capricorn and Scorpio. Yeah. Right on, Danielle. Right on. I know, we got to get your moons happier. That's what chart harmony is for, is to get things feeling smoother and yummier in your birth chart and in your and in your transits that are walking around. As I don't know, I was thinking Megan plus organic. Oh, cute. Yeah, I will see. Yeah, because you don't want to go more organic, because then we don't get Megan in there at all. Ooh, that's cute. That's cute. Okay, no questions? Thank you for the words that you're playing with. I like getting into good trouble, staying curious about the freedom. Carla says disrupting systems, innovations for better after, curious, clever, witty, always part of my existence. Yes. Love that. Love that. Yeah, remembering that Gemini is also the lungs, the breath. My next live stream is going to be Use Your Moons. We're going to do the August calendar together next week. But before the end of July, I'm doing another live stream, and it's going to be on body parts ruled by signs. And so I'll give you a little preview. Gemini rules the lungs and the hands and the arms and the shoulders. And there's some overlap with other signs there as well. But that means that Gemini is great in terms of musicality, great at playing things, instruments with your hands, but also using the breath because of the lungs, doing some singing. Like, all of these are ways that you can connect with Gemini, especially if Gemini's in a place in your chart that you don't feel a lot of connection with. If you've got Gemini on the angles, meaning first house, fourth house, seventh house, 10th house, using whole sign houses, if Gemini is one of those 4 houses, this Uranus ingress into Gemini is going to be felt a little more acutely than it might have felt when it moved into Taurus, because in your chart, once something is angular and a change happens, even if it's an outer planet, you tend to take it on more because of those angular houses, 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th, are the ones that have the greatest impact in our lived experience generally. Transform, Donna, yes. Yes, Holly, anything we should look for with this? Well, I can see from the slide that I shared before lots of patterns in terms of what the United States in particular does, but also other countries when it comes to involvement in issues that are happening around the world, and ways that people are not feeling free or not feeling like they want to be a part of something anymore. Like I was looking at it from, living here in the state of California, I was looking at it from the perspective of, we've long talked about, does California break into 2 states? Because we have Northern California, Southern California, they're so different. And then it's like, no, we probably are not going to do that. But would we break away from the United States? I mean, that could happen. Might we break off into the ocean and become our own island? Now I'm even more into it. I don't know. The what to look for in terms of big picture, that's the stuff that is going to be easy to hear about out there. You're going to have lots of astrologers talking about Uranus and Gemini and what does it mean. And we can look at the dates, we can look at the patterns, and we can go, ooh, yeah, that definitely says a lot. But anybody who's been alive for the past couple of years and paying attention to what's going on in world news, we've been able to go, yeah, I see where we're headed. Sure, I totally see where we're headed. This is going to be really interesting. What does Gemini think about all of that? Won't this be fun? Won't this be neat? I should mention that a certain Cheeto in Chief is having his Uranus return while Uranus is in Gemini. That should be cute. Just saying, transform. Love it. My son's Gemini son is extremely talented with his hands and can play any instrument he picks up. Yep. Just that musicality, and it comes from that curious brain, the willingness to pick up something and see what it does and then explore what else could it do and what can I make it do. Like, that's such a Gemini mindset. And also, Gemini is not worried about anybody judging them when they start to pick up a new instrument or try a new thing, because that's the curious brain. It's really the mind of the child, except witty and very knowledgeable and quite clever, but the ability to just pick things up and try them that doesn't have a lot of ego around it. Like, there's no big stakes if I succeed or fail at it. And there are other signs that bring a lot of ego to things, and so they won't try things because they don't want to look foolish. Gemini's not afraid of that at all. And that's why they are so good at so many things, because they will try. Canada's got a province considering breaking away as well. Awesome. I think embracing it. What's coming next? If Uranus is shaking up areas in my life, it's for a reason, even if I don't have the answer yet. I like that, Danielle. That's really good. So I'm going to take a little tip of the hat from Jupiter being in Cancer for this year. Jupiter entered Cancer in early June and will be there until late June of 2026. And I have really yummy offers. I'm doing mini readings for Jupiter in Cancer, and I am having so much fun with these sessions. I'll put the link in the description when I am editing the video description later after this live stream. But I am doing these one-on-one sessions at a super deal of a price that are focused only on what is happening in your chart while Jupiter is in Cancer. And one of the things that I'm loving so much is that I keep coming back to, it is safe to grow, it's safe to trust, it's safe to believe in magic, because those are things that Jupiter teaches us. And so the reason safe is because Cancer, that sign, is all about how to keep us safe. And Jupiter, a little big, a little extra, says, but just trust. And so I am using, especially because I'm getting my solar return chart this week, having my birthday this week. My solar return is actually July 10th, but my birthday is July 11th. Not the point. I am really embracing that I get this Jupiter in Cancer signature as a part of my solar return chart. We all do. For the whole year that Jupiter's in Cancer, we get this exalted Jupiter. And I am reminded my work is to trust. My work is to believe in miracles and magic. My work is to, even when I can use logic and list off all the reasons that I should be curled up in a ball, rocking back and forth, crying and miserable, I'm choosing to have faith, have trust, have belief in magic, and have a little fun along the way. Because I'm not of any use to anybody, myself included, if I cannot get myself out of bed due to all the reality that I'm paying attention to. Jupiter says, reality? Why would you pay attention to reality? Okay, y'all. Yay! Good, good, good. Excellent. Love having Jupiter in my rising Cancer. Isn't it yummy? Oh, man. Yeah, again, if Cancer is on your first house, 4th house, 7th house, or 10th house, like me, 10th house, you are getting a lot of Jupiter in Cancer. It feels so good. All right, you beautiful people. This was delightful. Thank you, Kelly. That's so sweet. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for showing up to these. I have so much fun doing them, and thank you to my fabulous team for helping make these possible and for creating all the shorts. Y'all, seriously, go over to my channel and watch the shorts. My team is so incredible. I just I am mesmerized by how they are capable of just churning stuff out. Like, oh my gosh, it's so great. So great. I will be actually recording new episodes of Melissa Has Questions, my new podcast, later today. I think I'm going to take a nap between now and then. I have just enough time for a sleep cycle. 90 minutes. Yay. Right on. Mwah. Love you bunch. Thank you so, so much for joining me. Y'all take care of yourselves. I'll see you next time. Okay. Bye.